Today, I'm pleased to welcome to the program Randy Burke, the CEO of DCS Global. Randy, I hope things are good for you.
Yeah, Jeff, it's starting out well, 2023. Thank you.
Good to hear. Our topic today, we're going to get into something important, would be about audits. Now, when some people hear the word audit, I think they might panic a bit and not want to talk about it, but that's not the type of audit we're going to talk about. So my first question,
Right.
Randy, to you is, what type of audits do you want to talk about today?
Really kind of three. There's the visual audit, what you see as terms of visual cleaning quality, hygiene audits, and checking, touch point sanitization, and then green cleaning audits. Those are kind of the big three that we're really involved in.
Okay. So tell us how they work and the value to both service providers and clients, and maybe talk about how often they should be done.
Sure. Yeah, sounds good. So visual audits, I mean, they happen, of course, all the time. And, what do you see versus the quality expectations? It's always good to use a software that actually captures imagery. There's a bunch on the market. It's quick,
Okay.
it's easy. Um, and yeah, you need somebody who reads the specification, understands, what the expectation is, actually should interview the building manager first, like what are the pinch points or and sometimes you can even interview users, tenants or something like that. So get your groundwork done. And then yeah, do a random sample, about 20% of the building, and really look for issues and grade it against two standards really. Typically you can use the APA standard, which is used by BOMA, by BEST and BOMA and a few others, or ISSA has got a great standard, which we often use also. So from a visual cleaning point of view, that's kind of it.
Okay.
And then the hygiene audits, we're using ATP technology, very reliable. Uh, Typically, it's common area only, so touch points. We'll do, again, probably 30% of the touch points in the common area that people are. That's where the high risk is. And yeah, so we'll test the areas. Our program really works on towards a building certification. So we'll
Mm.
do three audits as a verification that they've in fact passed the standard. And the standard that we've got in our clean and safe program, and which ISSA has worked with us, is 300, a score of 300 on the hygienist system or less. 70% of those readings should be less than 300. So everybody fails the first audit. It's just the way it is. You
Really?
know, no, yeah. Well, it's interesting. Who really cleans the bottom of a doorknob properly, and and all these crevices where people's hands touch. So we know that we set, we show up. It's unannounced. We do the first audit. We prepare the building management that very likely they're not going to pass the standard, but immediately we share the results with the service provider and of course the building management, and we give them a copy of the inspection, and then we go back and we actually bring the building supervisor with us at that point. And it's amazing how quickly they see it, they understand what we're talking about. We give them some of the tricks of the trade, really soaking the service and leaving it on there, using the right chemicals and such.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, after three, typically they're verified on the third audit. And then we look at a certification program for 2 or 3 years, and we go back every 6 months. So that's kind of the hygiene audit. The green cleaning audit, required by BOMA Best, BOMA 360, LEED, all those things, or what's called a LEED audit. And so there's a requirement for a certain number of room types have to be, if there's less than five, you've got to inspect all room types. If there's more than five, you have to inspect 10% of those rooms. There's a bunch of rules around that. Um, a LEED performance audit. And then, yeah, generally it's a visual cleaning audit at that point. But the room inventory is really important. And then, yeah, they've got to hit an APA score of 2.0 or better in order to hit the requirement. So those are the three types. and generally how it works.
Okay. I think you've already covered what you do with the audits.
Well, kind of, yeah. It's interesting because we we really try and be collaborative.
Okay.
Cleaning is very subjective, and part of what we end up doing is when we're doing the audits is really observe any of the what I would call obstacles to the cleaners. It could be access, it could be crazy density, it could be poor specifications. There's all sorts of stuff that can make an audit come out poorly. So again, part of what we do as we go forward, as we actually do the audit, is look for those obstacles. And where's the miscommunication if there is any? Because often that can be result in misunderstandings or poor scores.
Yeah. So if an audit goes south, I guess we could say, what do you do with
Yeah.
that?
Really, it starts with operational advice first.
Mhm.
And we go straight to this. Well, first, sometimes we have to cool down the building manager because, again, if they've been getting complaints and all that, then they've got an attitude, so to speak,
Mhm.
and maybe rightly so. So we try and understand it from their point of view, and we go straight to the service provider, show them the results, and get an understanding from their point of view what obstacles there are. And you know what? It could be a lot of things. Literally, the contract's underpriced, and it hasn't been renegotiated. They don't have enough labor. They could be in a really high turnover market, and so they're having training issues and turnover issues. So we try and get to the root of the problem, um, and advise everybody on trying to fix the issues, because yeah, they're multi-headed and they're there.
Okay. I guess my final question, thank you for all this information. It sounds like quite the process and very detailed. Many organizations, substantial ones especially, have an overall quality control program. So they might
Right.
feel they're good, right?
Yeah,
How do audits fit
for
into
sure.
that?
Yeah. Really it fits into four separate areas. One is somebody's got to look at daily, and they do, the common area and, the high impact, the elevators or whatever. So that's kind of a building supervisor's job. It's not really an audit, but it's an inspection, and follow up on any complaints. But really, there should be a monthly formal inspection done of the building that is forwarded to the building manager, so that you can keep on top of things and they know that you're doing your job. Whoever in-house or service provider. But then what we recommend is quarterly, what we call a joint customer review session on a larger building. And that's where you sit down and it's like, okay, what's happened in the past quarter? Not just audits, but cleaning, complaints, staff turnover, whatever, equipment, all sorts of things. What's happened in the last quarter? And then, they look at the inspections. Where are we now?
Hmm.
And what's coming up in the next quarter? So that joint customer review session, I think, is really a balancing act, and we actually call it sometimes flushing the toilet, because if there's anything in the back that people are holding in their head, like they, oh, I remember I had this issue. It's got to come up in this joint customer session, which is really quality control. And then from there, I think you end up getting on the same page with the building manager. And finally, third party audits. I mean, subject matter experts can come in and add a lot of value at very low cost.
Okay. Well, thank you for the details. Not so scary, but
No.
important.
Well, they're real, they're everywhere, and they're necessary.
All right. Thank you, Randy.
Jeff, always good.